Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Press A to Talk. My name is Kurt. I'm here with Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hello.
We're here to talk about Nintendo music. Nintendo, in typical fashion, zero fanfare, just a random Thursday drops a huge announcement that they are releasing their own music streaming service specifically for their games music. I was just sitting on my couch and I saw someone post this in a Discord I'm on, watched the trailer, and I was like, all right. And then I downloaded it, and then suddenly I was listening to the Super Mario Galaxy soundtrack.
Yeah.
Joe,
I,
what was your experience with this?
I don't remember if I was the one who posted it, but I remember seeing it on Twitter. And then I saw the video and I was watching it and I was like, "Oh, this is probably stupid." And as the trailer went on, I was just thinking like this could actually be like pretty cool with all the different features they're offering and with Nintendo's library that they have and how good the music always is. This could actually be like really useful and I don't have to find fan playlists of stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh man, another subscription service. Like, how much is this going to cost? And then they announced that it's free with Nintendo Switch Online. And you know me, I'm basic. I already have Nintendo Switch Online, so that's
Mhm.
not a problem for me at all. Like I get the barrier to entry. I get that Nintendo Switch Online is kind of expensive, especially with the expansion pass. But for me, I'm gonna have it anyway. So
Yeah.
I was pretty excited that I wasn't gonna have to pay, another $5 a month or whatever for it.
Mhm.
But as far as what this is it's a streaming service for Nintendo's music. They have said that new tracks will be added, quote, from time to time. Doesn't instill a lot of confidence in me, but we'll talk about that later. Uh, at It's been about a week since launch. They've added two new games since then. So right now they have 24 soundtracks with a total of 2,335 individual songs, which is about 68, 69 hours worth of music. And when you put it that way, that sounds like a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. When you go looking at like what they currently have, then you start to realize, oh, that's they handpicked some stuff. I see.
Yeah. But still, gonna get to that later. There's say day one. I'm pulling from Sensor Tower, which is a self-proclaimed safe and ethical data collection site. They say that there was 265,000 downloads on day one, and there's been over a million downloads in the first week. About 40% of the users are U.S. Residents or subscribers. 15% are Japanese or in Japan, and then the other, come on, math, do the math. 45% are just elsewhere around the world. Um, 1 million sounds like a whole lot. There are 34 million NSO subscribers, though. And I do think that that's worth pointing out. So
Yeah,
I don't know. Is one out of 34, one out of every 34th person using your service? Is that successful in your mind?
it's probably decent. I feel like for how much marketing they have done for it, which I haven't seen anything outside of like the one post or two posts on
Yeah, it's
Twitter.
like a 2.5 minute video on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's decent.
Okay. So let's talk about how we've been using it. So when you first booted it up, what was like? Oh, I gotta listen to this. Did you have anything like that?
I think I just kind of fiddled around with it. I'm pretty sure I opened Super Mario Odyssey because that was like the first one that it presented to me.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, I've just been like going through the different things that it presents to you because it'll have stuff like walking or it'll have you picking songs by characters. It saw my profile picture probably and presented Rosalina. So I
Yeah.
clicked on Rosalina. I was like, oh, there's some Mario Galaxy songs. That makes sense. Um, it's been interesting. I don't know how far you want to get into the topics right now of like how we've been using it,
Just
but
go for it. Whatever you want to get into.
most of the time that I listen to music is either while I'm working or while I'm driving. And while I'm working, I usually just pull up like a YouTube video that's 6 hours long of
Yep.
some random video game music. And the one thing that I don't necessarily like about the app right now is its connectivity.
Yes.
I can't connect it to hardly anything unless it's strictly Bluetooth from from my phone. So like I have Google speakers that I can't connect this to. I have some fancier Bose speakers I can't connect it to because they're Wi-Fi only. And as for my car, I use Android Auto, and this doesn't have an option of working with Android Auto. So when I'm driving and I hit skip or go back or something, it just stops using the app and then goes straight into Spotify, which means I would have to pull up my phone and just like manually open it up and click skip song or play something
Which
else.
is exactly what you want to do while you're driving.
Right.
Yeah. You I'm glad I'm not the only one because I that was my biggest like disappointment was this happened on Thursday night I think and I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to listen to Breath of the Wild or whatever on the way to work tomorrow."
Hmm.
And I got in my car, Android Auto booted up, and then it was just like nothing. It started playing a podcast from a podcast app. And I
Hmm.
went to my phone and I like pressed play before I started driving, and the sound comes out. But I don't know if it works the same way on all cars, but on my cars, I can't even adjust the volume because Android
Oh,
Audio
really?
doesn't recognize that there's sound playing, and
Oh,
and you can't adjust the audio if nothing's playing. So I have to like stop the song, play something else from Spotify or a podcast app, adjust the volume there, and then go back. And it's really a mess because like
yeah.
that's how I would use it. I drive for an hour, 10 hour, 15 minutes a day. I'd be
Hmm.
churning through these soundtracks, but I just can't because it's very
Yeah.
inconvenient.
Uh-huh. In preparing for this video today, I was like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna play some music while I'm working. And I just had my phone sitting on my desk playing music out of the phone. I didn't even have headphones on or anything because there's nothing else that I could do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And before you guys in the comments say just get an iPhone, it doesn't work with Apple CarPlay either. It also doesn't work with there's no like Mac version of this app. There's no Windows version of this app. It's strictly on Android and iOS devices, and that's it. Works
Hmm.
fine with Bluetooth headphones, but
Yeah.
I didn't even think about Joe like you were saying with like Google speakers and things like that. It just doesn't.
Hmm.
Like you can't
Yeah.
say, hey Google, play. I just set off people's devices. I'm sorry. You can't
Yeah.
say play the Super Mario Odyssey soundtrack on Nintendo Music. They'll just be like, nope, don't know
Hmm.
what that means.
Yeah. One thing I did notice, or I read about, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard somebody say that the app is like built off of YouTube Music or is like a clone of YouTube music in a way,
Mm-hmm.
which I think you can either pay specifically for a YouTube Music subscription or if you have YouTube Premium, it comes with that. And I have YouTube Premium, and I will say it does look a lot like YouTube Music,
I haven't.
but also
You go ahead.
YouTube Music has, kind of everything in the world because you can also just play the audio from YouTube videos
Mm-hmm.
in YouTube Music, which kind of defeats the purpose unless you just specifically want to use the Nintendo app.
I haven't used YouTube Music, so I wasn't aware of that. That's really interesting. I noticed that it's very similar to Spotify, but runs much worse. Ha-
Yeah.
the Nintendo Music app crashes about 1 in 3 times that I try to use it. Is that happening with you? Yeah.
I've had a few times where it doesn't crash. I have a hard time opening it. Or I'll just tap on the app and it's just like a gray screen with a loading bar, and it
Yeah.
just sits there for a while. And I just close the app and reopen it. I'll do that a couple times before it works.
That'll happen, and then sometimes I'll be using the app, I'll be listening to something, and then I'll like switch to YouTube, watch a short, and then switch back. And then when I switch back, instead of just being able to, like, I press play, and instead of playing, the app just crashes. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I can't pause this
Yeah.
soundtrack and come back to it.
Yeah.
Um,
I had a couple moments when I was playing and I like swipe down from the top of the screen where you can, see what's playing, and I'll try to pause the song and it just doesn't do anything.
really?
Yeah.
I've had the opposite from like the lock screen. I'll try to like press play while I have my headphones in, and it just will never load. But to be fair, that happens to me with Spotify and podcasting
Yeah.
apps too. So that's not necessarily inherently Nintendo's fault.
Yeah.
Um, let's talk about the games that are in there. So it launched with a ton of games. Let's see. It launched with some Animal Crossing games, Kirby games, Pikmin, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Splatoon, some Mario games, Wii channel music, Nintendogs Tomodachi Life, which I did not realize originally released on the Nintendo DS in Japan and then was ported to the 3DS. I didn't know that. We got
Yeah,
Metroid, a little bit of Fire Emblem, a little bit of Star Fox, some Donkey Kong Country, some Dr. Mario, and then they've announced that coming soon. There's a few more titles like F Zero and Wii Sports. So
that's interesting choices for some of them.
yeah, what do you mean?
Like, like Kirby Star Allies, and the first one, like Kirby's Dream Land, I understand, but Kirby Star Allies,
Yeah,
why not? Why not the newer one?
I mean Forgotten Land has an awesome soundtrack, but to be fair, Star Allies is pretty good, but
It's good too.
it's
It was just an interesting choice. And then for the three Metroid games, it's Metroid Prime, and then the two different versions of Metroid One, Metroid on Famicom Disk System and Metroid on NES.
I'm gonna defend that for a second because
Okay.
the Famicom had a different set of like sound chips than
Hmm.
the NES did, so it actually does sound different.
Yeah, it sounds very slightly different.
But so it's
If
neat.
you're gonna pick three Metroid games.
Exactly. It's really neat that it's here.
Hmm.
It shouldn't be the only things here. Like,
Yeah,
where's the Metroid Dread soundtrack at the very least?
yeah, or like Super or something. If anything, I hope it's like I don't know something to come to show like how in depth they're going to be on how the
Hmm.
games they pick. Like if 10 years from now they have every Zelda game, I hope they also have like the really side spin-off games and different variations or something.
Yeah.
But for right now, when you have such limited choices, it seems odd.
Yeah. Again, going back to it, it sounds like 2,300 tracks. It sounds like a lot. But when you're scrolling through, you're like, oh, but where's this game? Where's this game? Where's, I like when I looked up Zelda, that's the first thing I did after I listened to Mario Odyssey for a second is I just searched Zelda and it only brought up two albums. And I was like, how are you going to release a Nintendo Music app that's like, this is where you should listen to Nintendo's music now. You don't need YouTube anymore. And then only have two Zelda games.
Yeah,
That blows my mind. And granted, they picked good ones.
they
Ocarina
did.
of Time soundtrack is definitely like the one to have on there, and the Breath of the Wild makes sense because
Hmm.
we're living in the world of Breath of the Wild right now, and they have announced that that Wind Waker and Skyward Sword are coming,
Hmm.
but like they should be there.
Yeah,
Mario Sunshine should be there.
yeah.
The Metroid Prime trilogy should be there. There's so many Super Nintendo games, Earthbound, and all these
Hmm.
games with great soundtracks that are just not there. And
Yeah.
I was so excited to like dig into the weeds and make playlists, and then I got there and I was like, there's not much to do here.
No, there really isn't. But yeah, I don't know. It makes me wonder, like, how difficult is it to possibly add songs to this based on what Nintendo already has access to? And it also kind of makes me wonder, like, are they going to start cracking down on stuff that's already on YouTube?
Good segue, Joe. So, Nintendo has been on people for copyright infringement in the last 5 years. Like always, but especially in the last 5 years, they've shut down Switch emulators that were being developed and trying to go after other stuff. There's a YouTube channel. The one that I always use for video game music was called Gilva Sunner,
Yeah, I know exactly
and
what you're talking about.
in 2022, let's see, I wrote it down in here somewhere. They received 3,500 copyright takedowns at one time from Nintendo for their posts or for their posting their music. And let me be clear, I understand to an extent how the law works. I understand that Nintendo makes the games, Nintendo owns the music. If you share the music that Nintendo owns, you're technically breaking the law. But if Nintendo doesn't have their own way for you to experience the music put in place, what
Yeah.
does it hurt?
Hmm.
So like legally, I can't be like Nintendo. I can't believe they're doing that. But like, just from not being a jerk move, like
Right.
what were they doing 2 years ago in the last 5 years with all this stuff? And now they've announced it, and I was like, one of the first things I thought when I was watching the trailer was like, well, at least it kind of makes sense why they went after these YouTube channels so hard. And then I opened the app and I was like, this doesn't even have a drop in the bucket compared to what
Yeah.
those had. Those had every game's soundtrack. Like
Hmm.
they copyright, they took down 3,500 songs. There's not even 3,500 songs on this app.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean, Nintendo?
I know. It's so frustrating. I've had like YouTube playlists of stuff that I wanted before,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll come back to it a month later, and there's just like videos taken down left
Yep.
and right all throughout the playlist. And it's always frustrating to have to like, I don't even remember what song is in here that was taken down. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm missing to like go back and add it from another channel or something.
And this was their chance to make everything right. And it's like you can make your own playlist, you can listen to them whenever you want, however you want. And it's like we're not gonna have all the songs you want, and we're also not gonna let you be able to listen to them however you want. It's just like, what are you? This feels underbaked, I
Yeah.
guess. Like it
And
works mostly, and it's cool, but
if NSO is anything to go by, are they going to be adding games like what once every 3 weeks?
yeah. So it's been out for a week, and they've added two games. They've added
Mhm.
Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and they've added Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest.
Yeah.
So if they release a new game, two new games a week, that's 104 games a year, which is
It doesn't
re-
scratch the surface.
it doesn't scratch the surface, but it's not. That's not like, I don't know. If this time next year there's 150 game soundtracks, like that's not going to feel terrible. It's like, oh, this is a
Mhm.
lot of games. This is a lot of music. But you're right. It's still not going to be everything. There's 150 Nintendo soundtracks worth listening to just on the last like two generations.
Hmm.
But I don't know if they keep up this pace, it might be okay. I guess.
Yeah, but it also just makes me want to like go back to YouTube Music and then come back to this next year.
Yes. And you know what? I probably would if I wasn't already paying for this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it's
Hmm.
bundled in, so it's hard for me to look at something that I'm already paying for and then being like, we added more, and me being like, ugh,
Yeah. No,
But
I get that too.
there's still definitely some like weak spots to this that are kind of mind blowing. Um, I do worry that they won't actually continue this pace of releasing new soundtracks because
Hmm.
NSO started pretty strong, where they released, similar concept actually, a handful of games for each of the consoles the apps represent on the Switch, and then they were like, coming next week is Zelda 2 and Mario
Hmm.
3 and Earthbound, and it's like, oh, these are good stuff, yeah. And then
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it was like, bam, 6 months dry period, and it's like,
Yeah.
don't worry, guys, coming to NES is, Are You Tough Enough and Lolo's Adventure. And you know what? Lolo's Adventure is a fantastic game, but I don't really care that much about it,
Yeah.
especially when there's stuff that's still not on there. Like, we waited a long time for, like, Banjo Tooie, they just announced. Banjo
Hmm.
Kazooie has been out for over a year, and I'm just like, where is it?
Yeah.
The Zelda Oracle games took forever. The Pokemon games still aren't there. And so I'm very worried that Nintendo's going to be doing this and then just being
Mm.
like, there's gonna be nothing, and then one random Thursday next November they're gonna be like, all right, here's Electroplankton for the DS. And it's like nobody like cool,
Really.
but like nobody cares. It's been a year.
Exactly.
Like give us more Zelda.
Yeah. I would maybe hope that like during directs they'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna drop 15 games today," or something like that on here.
That's a great idea.
I think that'd be awesome, but I also don't like expect them to do it. You know,
All right, we're being
if
negative.
anything, if anything, I expect Mother 3 on here before it gets on NSO.
That would be mean. That would just be cruel. Let's. We've been talking a lot of negative. Let's talk some more pros. The sound quality is really good.
Uh-huh.
Like compared to the YouTube uploads, it's a higher sound quality. It
Yeah.
sounds cleaner, which it should because they have
Should.
access to those original you
Yeah.
know compositions. I like that there's a screenshot associated with each track. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, there is. I I want to point out the way they built playlists for this
Uh,
playlists in quotes is they let you pick by game. They let you pick by like um top tracks. They let you pick by characters as
yeah.
well. And they just like threw the characters out there, man. I opened it today and I saw Wiggler on my front
I was
screen.
gonna talk about the Wiggler one. Did you listen to it?
Yeah, I did.
It's like
It's great.
it's like one song and then three versions of the same song.
Yeah, but it's all stuff Wiggler's from,
It is
which is
also
awesome.
Wiggler's from, but it's like less than 5 minutes long. And it's like, why did you make this
Yeah,
playlist?
it's Maple Tree Way from Mario Kart, and then the four Wiggler races from Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Yeah.
It's just
I
hilarious.
I love that. There's a like they got some weird stuff in there. There's a Deku Tree playlist,
Yeah.
and it's just all the stuff that plays while the Deku Tree is talking to you and dying. And spoilers, an
Uh-huh.
Ocarina of Time, and then the cutscenes music that he's in Breath of the Wild, and it's like, yeah, why not? This is silly, but this is awesome. I really
It's
like
great.
this, and it's Nintendo is known for iconic, characters and kind of set pieces. So
Yeah.
yeah, why not?
I
Um,
do hope that as they add more games, they let you filter the characters thing by like game. Because if we start adding all of Nintendo's history, I don't want to scroll through like every Pokemon character that I don't recognize.
right.
You know?
I doubt there's ever going to be like a Wug Trio playlist, But can you? I wonder if you let me try to open the app. Let's see if it crashes. I wonder if you can search by character because you can search by track and by soundtrack.
I think yeah, you can.
You can.
You
Okay,
absolutely can.
so you can just do that.
That that's true.
One day, Joe, you
I
can
don't
just
have
type in Tingle and you'll be good to go.
to. Oh boy.
I I really like that they have the top tracks playlist on there
Hmm.
because when I first opened it, I just click through things. I'm really bad at reading. My wife makes fun of me all the time, but I just clicked in. I was an Ocarina of Time soundtrack, and I just clicked, and I was like, there's so much missing here. Did they not upload everything? Are you kidding me? And then I like went back and I was like, oh, they've like curated a list of the songs that they either think or know that people are going to want to listen to the most,
Hmm.
and that's what's happening here. And I think that's really smart.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I
It
like it.
it gives you a chance to listen to the game soundtrack without, you know, on YouTube. If you listen to like full game soundtrack, there's inevitably going to be a 2 minute spot that just has all the fanfares and chimes and jingles matched in there
Yeah.
together.
And on top of that, whenever you go into a game, they also have like a levels section. So you can just, instead of going through all the fanfares and jingles and stuff, you can just play the levels from a game. Like I have Donkey Kong Country 2 pulled up right here, and there's, the levels playlist at the bottom. There's the top tracks. There's also the extended collection.
Yeah.
Something else we didn't talk about. Uh, this app lets you extend songs to 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or 60 minutes because that's what everybody wants to do is play, you know, Diddy's Victory for 15 minutes
Maybe
or
not the
30
best
minutes or
example,
60
but yeah.
minutes. Yeah. I honestly didn't realize until today that there are songs that don't let you do that as well,
Yeah, and
which a lot of it is stuff that like makes sense.
some of it does make sense because it'll be things that play in cutscenes, and it's like it
Hmm.
makes sense because that's not happening in a level or in an open world where it's going to loop indefinitely, like a Donkey Kong level or like a Zelda
Yeah.
town. But there are some that are like that. Like for example, what's it called?
Samus
Phendrana
Updrift.
Drifts from
Yeah.
Metroid Prime. Like the song that loops the most in Metroid Prime, you can't extend it,
Does it not?
and it's
I
like
didn't realize
unless
that.
they've updated it, it didn't the other day, and
I
it's
believe you.
just it's just
That's
like
crazy though.
why? Like what limitation is there? And I didn't check the rest of the Metroid Prime soundtrack. It might be like that whole game doesn't have the
Like,
extending. I don't know.
you're right, it doesn't. Oh, that's so annoying.
Will you check some of the other tracks? Do the other tracks have extending?
The file select does. There's the
It's
title theme. Magmore Caverns, yeah.
just weird random songs. It's again themes that make sense not to be repeatable, and then just random stuff.
Phendrana Battle lets you extend it.
Well, see, that's what we should be listening to, honestly. But it's a really cool feature, and I love the idea of if I want to just sit at home and cook, I can just put on like a Pikmin song,
Hmm.
and just listen to that for 30 minutes while I make breakfast. Like that
Yeah.
sounds lovely. Or Animal Crossing. I do that anyway. I just play Animal Crossing
Hmm.
for an hour and
Yeah.
just vibe to that 5 p.m. music or whatever it is.
Hmm. I love the extending feature.
Let's see. Character playlists are good. New tiles are being added. The playlist. Have you made your own playlist yet?
I've not made a playlist yet. I've just
It's
kind of been going through like what Nintendo throws at me.
it's pretty it's pretty functional. You
Yeah.
you click create playlist. You type in the name of it, and then you can search for tracks or for soundtracks that you're looking for. And if you click on like an album, you can just scroll through it, and just like Spotify, you can listen to a little bit of it, and then just click a plus sign. Like it's really functional. That part hasn't crashed. It's user friendly. It's intuitive. I can find what I want to add pretty easily. So
You're right.
I mean, good for you, Nintendo. You made an app that makes playlists, and I don't know, it works.
It
I'm
works most of the time.
I'm attempting to be genuine about that.
Hmm.
Uh, One little nitpick is that in the Breath of the Wild soundtrack, they don't have separate tracks for the day and night versions of the songs. So
Oh,
in like Hateno Village, the night version of that song is awesome, and the day one's
yeah.
fine. But they have them both in the same recording. So you listen all the way through the day version, and then it plays the night version, and it's like,
Um,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, I guess.
At least it has it, but like that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, because that's another song that I would love just to put on and
Yeah.
extend it. I don't remember if that one can be extended or not. The biggest, actually, we'll get to my biggest issue later. Let's see, Joe,
Yo.
$20 bet.
Okay.
I'll take whatever side you don't. Is Nintendo going to continue adding titles that we care about and at a rate that feels good for us who are using the app?
Mm.
Like, check in 1 year from now. Are you going to feel good about the progress of what's been added to the app?
That's tough. The first year I kind of expect maybe, but like 3 years, I doubt it.
Think it's just going to drop off completely?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully, they'll just add everything by then, and they'll just only have to add the new titles.
That would be nice. If they just figure out how to very quickly add something and then they just, control A, drag everything over to the NSO music app. But no, I doubt it in 1 year.
Okay, so $20. I'm going to take the stance that it's going to be awesome in 1 year. So we'll meet back again next November, and you can buy me dinner or something. I don't know.
Sounds good.
Uh, do you think that we'll ever get like third-party tracks on this, or is this going to be exclusively first-party games?
I really don't think so.
What a, so I'm not suggesting Horizon or Halo or anything like that. But what
The stuff
about
the stuff that's in Smash.
that's a good. Let's talk about that in a second. But what about like Chrono Trigger, originally released on the Super Nintendo, got a DS port, games like that
Nah,
that or like
nah,
Final Fantasy VI or games that live on Nintendo consoles but are not owned by Nintendo.
nah,
No way.
not if they get on NSO, if Chrono Trigger gets on the SNES NSO app,
Yeah.
I could see that. But other than that, no. Not
Okay.
just stuff that originally released
Well,
for Super Nintendo.
what about the games that are on NSO then? What about like you think Banjo Kazooie has a chance of the soundtrack coming?
I would hope so.
Okay.
We didn't really. There was a lot of doubt that Banjo-Kazooie would ever make it to Smash, and then what do you know it?
Look at it. Look at him now.
Yeah,
That's still a really good trailer, by the way. They try to fake you out with Duck Hunt.
I know. I still love that trailer.
It's a really good trailer. Um, all right.
I love watching people freak out to it.
My last question for you, because I have a long list myself, but I want to hear yours first. What
Okay.
are the games that you most want added personally?
I mean, if I just say Smash, that covers everything.
Yeah, Smash Ultimate's at the top of my list too.
I was happy they added the entire Star Fox franchise just right off the bat.
You mean the one game they added?
Yeah, 64. That's the
So,
entire franchise.
Star Fox Command is pretty good, and Star Fox Zero is serviceable.
That is what I've heard. Um, I definitely hope there's going to be more Mario games and more Metroid games, particularly like Super Metroid
Hmm.
and the GBA games because I love those games. Um, Mario's Sunshine is not in here. I love Mario's Sunshine soundtrack.
It's not on there. It's not even on the like list of coming soon, which is pretty crazy.
Mm-mm. I wouldn't mind more Yoshi music too, like
Yeah,
specifically Yoshi's Story. I'm kind of partial to.
Yoshi Story and Woolly World. Those
Hmm.
would be amazing.
Wario World would be great.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
go watch our
go check it
upcoming.
out.
This video is probably gonna go up way before that's gonna happen, but we did a backlog crew in Wario Land 3. Go check that out.
Wario World will be
That's
up
true.
there.
Wario World has been up for a
You
while
can go
now.
check that out.
Part one and part
And then
two.
more Zelda. The one that I like when I opened the app today and I was like fiddling around with it, I saw Ocarina of Time and I immediately wanted Majora's Mask.
Yeah,
And then I realized Majora's Mask isn't there.
not even slated to be there. They've announced two more.
Mm.
They've announced Skyward Sword and Wind Waker are coming, but excuse
Not
me,
even
no
Twilight
Majora's
Princess.
Mask. Yeah, in my order of priority would be Wind Waker and then Skyward Sword and then Twilight Princess. But I feel you on Majora's Mask because there's good stuff in there too. I would
Hmm.
also love to see the Link's Awakening remake soundtrack
Yeah.
because that game uses like a woodwind quartet with
Hmm.
strings, and that's just an awesome sound that not
Yeah.
many games have, not much music has in general.
Hmm.
Um, I would love to see more Fire Emblem. The Three Houses soundtrack is outstanding, like
Really.
truly outstanding. And Engage is fine. It's just like the game. It's fine. I would love the Awakening soundtrack. I'd love the Ike games.
Hmm.
Um, as far as old school stuff, Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3. I'd love all of the Pokemon games. Like,
Yeah.
how is there just Scarlet and Violet? How did you
Yeah.
not at least get Sword and Shield? Or like,
Hmm.
I want to listen to those Hoenn super compressed fake
Yeah.
trumpets
I
as
do
I
too.
I want to like walk outside and walk with that music blasting in my ears.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of an oddball one, but I'd really love the Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle soundtrack
Oh yeah.
because that was by Grant Kirkhope,
Hmm.
and that's just really good music. He also did Donkey
Yep.
Kong 64, which is also not on here. Would love to see
Hmm.
the DK rap in the highest fidelity possible.
Everything he did is phenomenal.
Yeah, it super is.
Like I mentioned earlier, I really hope Mother 3 gets on there. Mother 3 actually has some good music.
Yeah, Mother 3, and I mean Earthbound as well, but Mother 3
Hmm.
definitely has that, slightly semi higher fidelity because of the Game Boy Advance. Kind of, they
Hmm.
have their own strengths and weaknesses, I guess.
Yeah. Even
So,
some of the Smash original stuff, like
yeah.
some of the remixes that they made for like Brawl and
Hmm.
stuff. Like Sticker Brush Symphony has a gorgeous remake in Brawl. It's one of my favorite like video game songs. I don't know if they would ever add all 1,300 songs
That's what I was gonna
that
ask.
are in Smash, but like they could.
Like, is there a world where they add Smash Ultimate to this?
I don't know. I hope so. I wonder, do they have to like renew all their licenses with like Konami for Metal Gear and
I feel
like?
like I feel like the answer is probably yes because they
Mhm.
probably did a contract like, can we use this music in this video game? And they were like, sure. But I don't know anything about this kind of law, so I'm just
Yeah.
kind of talking. But I
Mhm.
feel like they would have to renegotiate and probably like split profits, and that might not be something Nintendo wants to do.
Yeah.
And there might even be some kind of issue with, well, we want to put our stuff from Smash Ultimate on there, and then the other
Yeah.
companies could be like, well, our is part of the soundtrack, or at the very least, fans would complain.
Hmm. I would be more likely to believe that they would just add the stuff that they already have rights to from Smash
Yeah,
and just leave out all the third party negotiated stuff that they have.
and that would be better than nothing.
It would.
There's some amazing like Castlevania music, and
Hmm.
you know some of this is on Spotify, but I would love to just have Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts stuff right next to my Zelda stuff.
Yeah.
But first party Smash stuff would still be awesome.
Hmm. For sure.
Do you have any last thoughts before I get into my last big point I want to make?
No, let's go ahead and see what you have.
Okay, so clear my throat. Excuse me. The worst part about this app is that they do not credit a single composer or performer at all.
Mm-hmm.
That is unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
That is like a ghastly like cartoon villain kind of thing to do in 2024, is to take a creative's work and not credit them for it. And Nintendo's been doing this a lot lately. They announced like earlier this year that Princess Peach Showtime, and people on the internet were like, Nintendo, who's making this? And Nintendo said, guess you better see the credits. And it's like, what do you
Yeah.
mean? And they did the
Yeah.
same thing with Mario and Luigi Brothership, and we didn't know who was developing that until it leaked. By the way, guys, stop leaking Mario and Luigi games. The previous company already went bankrupt because of people like you, and they brought it back, and it's just stop. That's not good
Yeah.
either. But it truly blows my mind. Like, they put them in the credits, which is the bare minimum, but like Spotify, as horrible as Spotify is to creatives, they at least credit them.
Yeah.
If I want to go listen to like Kenta Nagata's music, I don't know how, because I don't know what he wrote. I can Google what games he worked on, but even then I don't know which track specifically he worked on.
Yeah.
It blows my mind.
They did something similar when Metroid Prime Remastered released, where they didn't credit a single one of the original creators
Yeah,
or developer that worked on the original game.
just the remake crew.
Mm-hmm.
And they worked hard. They deserve to be there too, but just put the original credits there and then
Yeah.
just have the remake credits. Like, I don't
I
know.
did read. I don't necessarily know if this is true or not. This is just what somebody on Reddit said, who claimed to live in Japan for a while and said this is just kind of how a lot of Japanese companies are. When you work for a company, it's like the company owns the work that you did rather than crediting the individual.
Yeah, but that's really, really gross.
It is. I
That's
agree.
really gross. And I don't know.
Whenever I was younger and, getting video game music on my iPod, I would usually sort everything by like Koji Kondo and
Mm-hmm.
the actual people who made the music rather than just like Metroid or whatever.
Right. And it'd be such a cool thing that like you could expose people to Nintendo's history that way, because now like people know who Miyamoto is, and they like, oh, I'm gonna play his games, play Mario Bros. I'm gonna play Ocarina of Time. I'm gonna play, Project Giant Robot or whatever that Wii U demo he tried to make, Star Fox Guard. Like, I'm gonna play Miyamoto
Nintendo
games.
Labo.
Yeah, and now it's like, oh, I want to listen to, I'm looking over this list that we're gonna get to this. It's like, I want to listen to this specific composer, and it's like, oh, you can't, and that could just be another section of playlist where you just scroll through. You could have their pictures because it's Nintendo music. You're not over glorifying someone. It's not like I'm asking for the Breath of the Wild box art to have with music composed by slapped on it. Like, I get that that's not the point, but this is literally just the music and then some screenshots. So I don't know, maybe put the art team in like small text on the descriptions. I don't know, but like the composer should absolutely be credited if nothing else.
I would love to have a playlist of just Totaka's songs
Yeah,
in games. That'd
exactly.
be so cool.
All right, so Joe, if you'll allow me, what I would like to do is what Nintendo has not done, and I would like to credit all of these composers.
Please do.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So this is going to take a second. I'm probably going to cough because I forgot to get water. So bear with me, internet. All right. Starting from Switch and going backwards in release order. We have Animal Crossing New Horizons with music by Kazumi Totaka, Yasuaki Iwata, Yumi Takahashi, Shinobu Nagata, Masato Ohashi, Sayaka Doi. Also, I don't speak Japanese. I apologize vehemently for mispronouncing any of these names. And also, the Animal Crossing soundtrack has like hundreds of songs on it. Did you know that?
I had no idea.
Like,
That's
it's
407 songs.
Yeah, it's the largest by far, and that's
crazy.
Crazy.
By hour.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Kirby Star Allies, Hirokazu Ando, Jun Ishikawa, Yuta Ogasawara, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Shiho Fuji, Atsuko Asahi, Ryo Nagamatsu, Yasuaki Iwata, Kenta Nagata. Again, I apologize. Joe, I should have sent this to you so you could read some of these. Uh, Pigman
Yeah,
4, Kenta Nagata. We're getting a lot of Kenta Nagata. Asuka Hayazaki, Soshi Abe, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Minako Adachi, Junichi Masuda, Go Ichinos, Hiromitsu Meiba, Terio, Taniguchi Hitami Sato, and Toby Fox. In case you forgot, he wrote music for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Oh yeah, he did.
He wrote like the raid music. I just took off the black and white filter, so hopefully I'll be able to read this a little bit easier. Splatoon 3, Toru Minagishi, Shiho Fuji, Ryo Nagamatsu, Toshiyuki, Yumi Takahashi, Sayaka Doi. Super Mario Odyssey, Naoto Kubo, Shiho Fuji, Koji Kondo, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Koji Kondo, Shiho Fuji, Sayaki Doi. I wish I knew how to say that one. That one's going to come up a lot. Chisaki Shimazu, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Manaka Kotaoka, Yasuaki Iwata, Hijimi Wakai. All right, this is only the Switch. Okay, there's the most Switch games. It's gonna get faster from here, but like, someone should credit these composers.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Wii Super Mario Galaxy was Miyito Yokato, Koji Kondo. The Wii channels. That's a fun thing we didn't talk about. Is they just have various Wii channel musics.
Yeah, I meant to play through that playlist today.
I was listening to the top hits just from Nintendo Music Selects, and it did the Wii Shop channel theme, and I was like, "Oh, can I extend this?" And I could. I was like, "Well, this is my day now. I'm just gonna vibe to this." Wii channels: Kazumi Totaka, Toshiyuki Sudo, and Kenji Yamamoto. Nintendogs: Hajime Wakai. Tomodachi Life is Daisuke Matsuoka and Asuka Ito. Or to the GameCube with Metroid Prime, Kenji Yamamoto and Koichi Kayuma. I thought it was very interesting that even though that was a Western developed game, the music was still Japanese.
I was legitimately wondering if it was going to be some American dude.
Yeah, you're waiting for me to be like Metroid Prime, Craig Smith, like
it was
something like that.
It absolutely was.
No, it's still Japanese. I wonder.
Interesting.
I'm curious about the development of Metroid Prime about how all that worked, but
yeah.
Game Boy Advance, Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade. Love that this game is here, by the way. And also, I could be wrong. It might be in like the mobile game or in Engage or something, or in the playing cards. This is the first time that I'm aware Nintendo is acknowledging the subtitle, The Blazing Sword or Blazing Blade, officially.
Really?
Because they just released in America as Fire Emblem. Because it was the very first Fire Emblem that released in America, even though it's the 7th one in the series. So, anyway. The composers of Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade are Yuka Tsujiyoko and Saki Haruyama. For Star Fox 64, or Lilat Wars, if you're European, Koji Kondo, which I did not know, fascinating, and Hajime Wakai. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is Koji Kondo. Cannot believe that man wrote my entire childhood. You know,
yes,
it blows my mind.
Yes, he did.
Super Nintendo. We got some English names here. Donkey Kong Country, written by David Wise, Evelyn Novakovic, and Robin Beanland. Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. The only person credited is David Wise. I don't know. When I say credited, the Nintendo doesn't provide an official source for me to know this information, so I'm just relying on Wikipedia, which is typically correct, but I understand this is not scholarly. If I leave somebody out, just politely let me know in the comments, because they deserve to be shouted out for sure. Let's see, and then Super Mario 2 Yoshi's Island was Koji Kondo, yet again, right in my childhood.
Of course.
Game Boy Dr. Mario is Hirokazu Tanaka. Kirby's Dream Land is Jun Ishikawa. NES and Famicom is Metroid with Hirokazu Tanaka. Super Mario Bros. With Koji Kondo. And then in the coming soon section, because I'm gonna get these while I can, because Nintendo's not gonna do it. These are all the games that they've announced that are coming up. F-Zero X, composed by Taro Bando and Hajime Wakai. Splatoon 2 with Toru Minagishi, Ryo Nagamatsu, and Shiho Fuji. Super Mario 64, Koji Kondo. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, Hajime Wakai, Shiho Fuji, Mahito Yokato, Takeshi Hama. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, Kenta Nagata, Hajime Wakai, Toru Minagishi, and Koji Kondo, which I one of the last Zelda games that Koji Kondo really had his hands in, I believe, in terms of original music. And then lastly, Wii Sports is Kazumi Tataka.
App's gonna blow up and Wii Sports gets on there.
Yeah, I'm really It's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for bearing with me. If you're watching this video and you put up with me mispronouncing a dozen Japanese names 100 times, then like forgive me. But I just think it's important that they, as someone who works in music, I think it's very important that they be credited.
100%.
All right. Well, that was the chip on my shoulder, so I'm pretty much good now. Joe, any final thoughts as we wrap up the video?
No, I just really hope that it like does take off and gets a whole lot of support.
Yeah.
And a little bit more connectivity.
My desires for this app in order are put the composer names on there, have functionality with Android Auto and desktop and all the other things that people like to listen to music on, and then add a bunch of tracks that people really want to listen to, because this could be something really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this could be something that I spend most of my time listening to rather than Spotify, just because I'm that invested in this kind of music. But there's the groundwork has been laid. They need to build up a little bit before we get there.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Joe, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. In the comments, if there's any composers we left out, again, please let us know. Please share their name in the world. Otherwise, let us know what games you're excited about, what games you're listening to on the Nintendo Music app, and what games you hope are coming soon. Because I'm sure everybody has their own kind of oddball favorite that would be really fun to see in the app. But yeah, we're Press A to Talk. Thanks for watching. Bye.